Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're doing a reading on Brandon Embry, age 33, from Asheboro, North Carolina. Now he was a Navy veteran and there's a lot of details to his life. I believe he was working at a place that did robotics, but in any case, on September 10th of 2019, his mother was no longer able to contact him, which was shortly after his birthday. And they went to check on him on the 12th and found that he was not coming to the door. They ordered a welfare check. The police came to the house, they opened the door up, and they found that inside was chaos, and Brandon himself was laying in a puddle of water in the bathroom. The bathtub was overflowing, the toilet had been practically ripped out of the floor, there was all sorts of chaos in the house, there was blood smears on the bedroom wall. In other words, a very chaotic scene, as though he had been attacked. But I believe the coroner said that the cause of death was pneumonia. Now, while him having been in a very cold apartment, because I believe that they had turned the thermostat down to the point where he was actually suffering from hypothermia while he was laying there in the pool of water on the bathroom floor, pneumonia may have been the final blow. But looking at the pictures of Brandon, and if you're squeamish, I would not suggest that you go look up those pictures, because he really looks like he fought, because he looked really damaged, battered and bruised. So the fact that they're saying, oh, it's pneumonia, is laughable, but okay. And they also didn't really do much investigation into what was the actual cause of death and the reason behind all the chaos in his apartment. Now, they suggested that he may have had some type of psychosis that made him do that. I believe the mother said that one of the detectives on the case said that he might have been on meth, and this is what meth heads do. Something along those lines was being said. They suggested that he had bought some synthetic marijuana, which may have caused this as well. They did find some Benadryl in his system, but other than that, not much else. So that's all very strange. His mother suggested that he may have been given antifreeze as well, which may have caused this pneumonia and hypothermia to also occur. But anyway, so those are the conditions in which he was found. Now, there's a couple of interesting things that I want to note before we get started. Before she went and tried to contact him and see what was up with him, she received, I believe, at least one strange text from him, supposedly. And after reading it, both the mother and the father didn't think that he had been the one to send it, so that was already quite suspicious. And there were also rumors that Brandon had been arguing with a dark-haired man. Not much of a description on that person either. And from what I heard, there were clumps of dark hair found in the apartment. Now, Brandon himself had a bit of reddish hair color, dark blonde, that type of thing. That was not his hair, at least not by looking at it. So it was all very strange. And there's a lot more details to the story that I'm currently not able to tell you, but that's okay, because you don't need to know the entire thing, because we're going to take a look at the case with the tarot. Currently we're starting off with the Urban Tarot deck, which is this one, more of a modern take on the tarot based on the Thoth deck. And for any follow-up questions, we're moving on to the Santa Muerte deck, which is this one, which is more Day of the Dead themed, with lots of skeletal imagery like this. So as per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the cards. Somebody requested that I shuffle them on a screen. The way the camera is set up, that makes it kind of clumsy, but I'll try my best. I believe I did that last time as well. Hope you found that helpful at least. But anyway, without much further ado, I'm just going to get started, and once we have enough cards on the table, we'll take a look. So let's get started. dokie. Got an extra card here at the bottom that came out right at the end, so we're going to include that as well. We're starting off over here with the Ace of Wands in reverse next to the Princess of Swords, which is the Page of Swords, and the Queen of Cups. Okay, but first these two. I'm going to grab these two first. Now, Ace of Wands in reverse, I always read that as an initiative gone sour, something that they were going to start and didn't quite work out as they had intended. And the Princess or Page of Swords is a very hot-headed, kind of head of heels type character. Not quite as hot-headed as the Knight, because the Knight is even worse. If you look at the image of the Knight of Swords, he's really charging off, but the Page of Swords is ready to go, do whatever. And in this case, it was the wrong thing, and I do believe that this symbolizes having discussed certain plans with somebody, and that ended up going awry. Maybe this was an initial, hey, let's do this, this sounds like a great idea, but not overseeing the entire situation, like the ins and outs of the situation, not being aware of all the details, and initially agreeing on this and perhaps later deciding or figuring out that that was not the best thing that they could have done. Now we're followed by the Queen of Cups, so this looks like somebody whom we may have confided in, because you see a person sitting there at the front here. Also the Eight of Wands, swiftness is over here. It wants normally like communication, some type of digital communication is possible these days. Of course, it could also just mean they went and talked to somebody, because the therapist in this case looks like there's somebody on the couch here. You can see the foot, and there's this woman in the background just kind of listening and taking her time. You see some cups over here, so they've been there for a while. It's been a situation where he went to somebody whom he feels comfortable with, and they decided to discuss these plans that they had with them to try and figure out the best course of action to correct this course that he had taken. Now the Eight of Wands here is showing to be a wheel, and it looks like a spinning, oh, it's a bicycle wheel. Okay, so this is definitely a motion or a very quick action as well, because of course the wands are an action suit. So they took action directly after talking to this Queen of Cups. Now I get the impression that this Queen of Cups is somebody, an older woman in his life that he trusts. Could have been his mother, maybe an aunt or something, somebody he's comfortable with, maybe a neighbor or somebody at work perhaps even, that they just confided in about the situation and asked for advice. And then as soon as she gave her advice, or they gave her advice, in case it was actually a male of some sort who just has that Queen of Cups energy, then they decided to try and put that into action. So that advice was being brought into action right away. See here the Fool in reverse, which does symbolize to me somebody who is no longer fooled, no longer naive. So whatever this conversation was, whatever this action is, it opened their eyes to the foolishness, I suppose, that we started off with here with the Ace of Wands. Let's go grab both of these because it's next to the Hermit, which is uprights. So this is definitely him coming to his senses. Like after his initial crazy moment there, discussing things with somebody and coming up with ways to, I don't know, start a new initiative, and coming to regret that, asking for advice. He's now wiser, and he has withdrawn himself from whatever negative influence that character in the background might be. You can see with the Hermit over there, there's almost like this gargoyle thing sitting there looking at him. I'm not really sure what that is, but it looks almost like it's trying to get his attention of the Hermit here, and the Hermit's like, no, I've got better ideas. I found this source of light, and this is now my truth, and this is how it's going to be. So this gargoyle character might be representing somebody, maybe the other person who was initially part of the plan that they are now saying no to. Next we have the Queen of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, both of them. Which could be the moment where whoever this other person was that they had this plan with, I do feel like this is multiple people having this plan or some type of initiative being taken. This is them finding out that it's no longer on, the deal is off. So this Queen of Swords, this person could be a male, doesn't have to be a female, but the Queen of Swords is normally somebody who's pretty good at talking, pretty good at thinking, sharp-minded, sharp-witted, and in reverse it could be somebody who's trying to manipulate you as well to try and get you to follow along anyway. And in this case, it could even mean that they had some type of scheme in mind that would give them a lot of money. But it's now going sour because it's in reverse here. The Nine of Pentacles is in reverse, and I do believe that perhaps they thought that through this, whatever this was, that they were going to become, wouldn't say independently wealthy, but definitely well off enough to the point that they could continue doing it as whatever it is that they like to do, because this card is called the Painter. So this is somebody also who tends to be in their mind a lot. So maybe they had all sorts of plans with the money that they were going to get from this adventure over here, and now they were no longer going to be able to get that. So then we have 3 cards here. I'll grab this one first. The Seven of Wands is called Valor here, and then followed by the Chariot in reverse, which is a similar energy to the Fool over there, in the sense that everything's slowing down, because initially he was being very fast with his actions with the Eight of Wands, but now we have the Seven and the Chariots, and Fortitude, Nine of Wands as well. Okay, let me grab all 3 of them for a second. So we have the Seven of Wands here, which I always find somebody coming for your position, somebody who is jealous, trying to get what you've got. The Chariot in reverse is slowing somebody down. And then we have the Nine of Wands also in reverse. It's a worry, anxiety, perhaps from a long time ago, not necessarily just happened. So this is, I think, the person over here, the Queen of Swords, whoever this character might be, is coming to find out, like I said, that they're not going to be able to fulfill their plan to get that money that they wanted, and now they're up in arms and they've been slowed down because of this, and they're worrying about it. Then we see next the Emperor card, which would be them taking a position of, trying to take a position of authority. And who else do we have here? The Hanged Man. Okay. So this person is now trying to come across as the Emperor, and I've always found this Emperor card particularly grim because it's a very dark setting, and it also looks as though somebody really putting their foot down and saying, you know what, you need to do as I say because of all this storm stuff that's raging around us, and if you don't do that, then everything's going to end up quite badly for you. You need to listen to what I'm telling you. And then he came up with the idea of the Hanged Man energy. In other words, take a different perspective, take another look at things, which is very reminiscent of a Queen of Swords in reverse anyway. Somebody who's very good at manipulation. They could have tried to take this position of, you need to listen to me because I'm an authority in this field, and whatever it is that this Queen of Cups may have told you, you can forget about that because I am the authority here, and you need to change your mind about this. And that's where the Hanged Man comes in. So this is like the situation that led to how he was found. It doesn't quite show what the reaction of Brandon was, but we're not done yet. We still have another deck here, so let's take a look what happened next. So this person found out that Brandon was no longer on board with their plans, and what happened next when he tried to convince them. We have here the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so Three of Pentacles is trying to work together. This is definitely a work-related card. Three of Pentacles, normally you see a couple of people working on some masonry in what looks to be like a church. But in this case, it's literally trying to grow something together with 3 people. 3 is a charm in that sense. Like, there may have been a third person involved, but in any case, they were trying to work together, or they wanted them to work together. Maybe initially this plan here worked to try and get Brandon back to the fold. Let's see how it ended up going sour anyway, because obviously it didn't go well. Oh. We have the Empress and the Three of Wands. Okay, so the Empress is somebody who is supposed to be taking care of people, and they may have suggested that they go somewhere, because the Three of Wands is normally like a travel card, trying out new things, setting out for new places, and in this case may even have brought some news as well, waiting for news from faraway places, because the bird appears to have a book or something in its mouth, like they just came and delivered that. I am drawn to look at the fan of the Empress in this case, so there is a slight element of not quite telling him the whole truth still here, even though the Empress is normally a card of nourishing, a nourishing person who normally shares their wealth and tries to take care of the people around them. But in this case, it's kind of like they're hiding a part of the truth, and maybe that is what was keeping him on board. Let's see what else we can get. May even have told him that he needs to continue to cooperate for whatever reason. Smaller stack here, smaller still, but it looks like these are the cards that we need. And the Emperor is back. So they're once again trying to call upon some type of level of authority. So this may be somebody who is in a position of authority, at least according to Brandon. He is maybe a coworker who's got some seniority in the company, or somebody whom he knows from someplace else that is a senior, at least in experience. Then we have the Star here and the Knight of Wands. Okay, so the Star, I think this is more of a reference to how this person appears to Brandon, like they are really a star in that sense. We have the Knight of Wands here, though, who is in reverse. Now, Knight of Wands is normally a feisty character who really knows what he wants, tends to go out and get it. But I think that this is almost like rushing things along as well. You can see that the horse is on its hind legs and the knight wants to charge forward, but in this case for the wrong reasons. So it looks as though they once again try to pull their seniority or their higher position over Brandon and to try and hurry things along. What do we got after that? Because we haven't quite gotten to the confrontation yet. Knight of Pentacles on its side. Not going to read this one quite upright. You can see it down there in the bottom. If you hear some crackling in the background, it's people currently trying out fireworks apparently. So I feel this is a representation of Brandon in the sense that he's another knight, just like the other person was being represented by a knight, but this knight is a bit more careful. The Knight of Pentacles tends to be more slow and steady wins the race, and should we really do that? Let's think about this. You can also see that even the horse is just standing still looking at the situation like what's next, what are we going to do? And I think that this waiting position is representing Brandon's reluctance still, even though they were trying to keep them in line with all of their deceit. This other person, Brandon decided that he needed to hold his horses. Then we have Five of Wands in reverse. Now, Five of Wands is often a sparring energy, could be an argument as well as struggling against, because it's in reverse. And it's like this match over here being lit like a fire, suddenly lighting up in his mind like, hey, wait a second, I don't need to do this. So maybe he decided that moment that he was going to struggle against whatever this plan was. So they were rushing him, and he decided to hold back, and that caused some struggle. What else can we see? Oh, there we go. We get the Hierophants. Alright, so once again we are talking from a position of authority. This person, whoever this is, has a lot of tricks up their sleeve to try and continuously get him to follow along because of this authority that they are projecting on him. I wonder if that worked though, because they've done this 3 times already. They started over here, and then we have the Empress over here, another Emperor over there, the Star, and the Hierophant. So they were really trying very hard to try and pull Brandon back into the fold. Oh, that's a lot of cards. First one here is the High Priestess, right? We'll shuffle this smaller deck later to see what else we can get, but the High Priestess is somebody who sees through the veil, sees through deception as well, is somebody who can see secrets, or at least detect that there are secrets. So I think that this attempt that they tried here with the Hierophant to try and pull him back into the fold once again did not work out. He was no longer going to be fooled by that. And what other card do we have from this little stack? You two? Okay. We get the Six of Swords, so he's trying to leave here, and the Queen of Wands. Now the Queen of Wands is also very actionable, definitely knows what they want. I think this is Brandon being represented by the Queen of Wands and the Six of Swords, because the Six of Swords is trying to check out from wherever it is that they are at. They are trying to move along, and the Queen of Wands knows exactly where she wants to go. So this is them trying to leave this situation, leave this whatever it is that they were trying to do here, leave that plan behind, and being very stubborn about it, because the Queen of Wands does have a lot of stubborn energy. As soon as they've decided that they're going to take this course of action, and that is what is going to happen. We have here the Eight of Pentacles. Alright, so this is the focus card. They're working very hard on this plan that they now have for themselves to try and get out of this situation. So that is them focusing on how to get out of here as best as possible. Oh, that's a lot of cards. This one in any case, alright, this is Temperance. Okay, so he was already quite focused, but he's also very well balanced. It is trying to balance himself out, because he has been convinced multiple times here. Probably they were really inside his mind to try and get him to do things, but he needed to refine his balance, and that's why we get the Eight of Pentacles here. And Temperance, we have the Nine of Swords is worry, and it's in reverse as well. So this is a worry that's been going on for some time. So I feel like this is something, this realization that he had was something that was already brewing in the back of his mind, but he wasn't quite sure of it until now. And now he was really starting to worry that perhaps his plan to focus on leaving was going to cause for more trouble. Whoop, just bumped the camera there. Let's see which one of these three we need, or which ones. All of them apparently, because I can't really shuffle them. Okay, so we have the Four of Cups, which is being unable to make a choice. So maybe he was in a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, but he was trying very hard to not let it go wrong. And then we have the Five of Cups in reverse, which is often crying over spilled milk, but it's kind of like a continuation of this Four of Cups here energy as well. So initially they were like trying to figure out if there was a way out, and then they saw that no, actually we've already wrecked quite a few things, and there was no turning back from that. We do here have the Six of Wands, so they definitely had some type of victory moment in the sense that they conquered whatever it is that the hold that they had over him. So even though he was in that Five of Cups energy there on the end, which is normally like a crying over spilled milk card, and Two of the Cups are still left upright, so there is always some type of silver lining situation, but in this case he may have decided to cut his losses and then walk away from it, which is the Six of Wands here with the victory card. And then what's Five of Pentacles, worrying. So even though he walked away, we still have the worry here about what's happening next, quite possibly. And the High Priestess again. So now we're getting a double confirmation of the High Priestess that they are now clearly aware of what's happening. That's probably why they were so worried about it in the first place. Like they now knew exactly what the situation was. And this is the Three of... oh, here we go again. Now this is related to the work situation apparently, so I feel like whatever this person that was trying to get them to work together is somebody who actually works with them or worked at the company. So now he's got this insight of what's happening at the company, and he can't really walk away from that, at least not anytime soon. He may have been trying to walk away from that. Yeah, now that I see this work card, the second time that we have the Three of Pentacles, this is starting to look like it's somebody from their workplace, and they decided to say no to them, but that put them in a very precarious situation, which they tried to walk away from. And this looks more like a not immediately quitting the job because the economy's bad, blah, 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 or whatever. They can't quite immediately find another job. So this looks like, I know that I'm in a bad place, but I'm going to try to work hard to get out of it by perhaps applying for jobs elsewhere, things like that. And the more he spent time working there, the more he realized how right he was in doing that. But he did worry about the potential future because, of course, once you see something, you can't unsee it. And that's where the High Priestess comes in for a second time. So this is something to do with their work. Let's see if we can find any final cards. So it looks like whoever may have attacked him was somebody that he worked with. Yeah, because we have, again, the Hierophant. So this is definitely somebody that he works with, and the Empress in reverse. So there might actually be two people involved. So the Empress that was initially hiding something behind a veil is now fully reversed, so they are no longer really taking care of the people around them. That might be somebody, I get the impression like this is almost like an HR person, if you know what I mean. Like there's always this thing that happens whenever somebody has a problem with their work. They go to HR to try and sort things out, and then ultimately they find out that the HR is actually not on their side, but it's on the company side, that type of thing. And the Hierophant is back. So this is definitely somebody from their work trying to lord stuff over them. This is almost like the manager and HR right next to each other if you go down this path. So it looks as though they were not going to let him just walk away from whatever it is that they discovered. That is very interesting. I'm going to try for one more card, maybe. And then we're going to call it a day. Whoop. There we go. Got several cards, actually. Ace of Cups upright. The Devil in reverse. So that's somebody coming out of an addiction. Okay. And lastly, the Aeon, which is Judgment. So I'll put that over here because we started off with an extra card down there initially as well. So manager and HR, or whoever might represent such roles, there was a connection there. Perhaps he had, Brandon had initially developed some feelings for somebody or tried some type of new emotional connection, but the Devil in reverse shows that that was quickly cured because the devil is normally like type of bondage or an addiction or something along those lines. And in reverse, it could either be that it was something that just wouldn't go away, it just kind of went into the deep, or was actually cured or kicked. And then we have Judgment there at the bottom. So perhaps there was somebody that the manager over here was connected to, that Brandon was somehow connected to, and they did not appreciate that interest that Brandon was showing this other person. Perhaps that may have caused some trouble. But it seems more like they were trying to get him interested in something that would make him feel good, because the Ace of Cups is, of course, almost like a new love interest, new emotional development that they were trying to push on him, and he decided to say no to that. So it looks like that backfired on both sides, but in his side, of course, he was the one who ended up dying, and the other two are, as of yet, unknown to us. So they might be getting away with it, at least for the time being. But it looks like they tried very hard to keep him in the fold, and ultimately he decided to reclaim his own independence here with the Knight of Pentacles. And that's when trouble really began, because then they finally noticed that he was no longer in the fold, and things started to go downhill from there. That is what I'm seeing. Hope you found that interesting. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. I really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in another video. In any case, make sure to stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.